Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me again for another one of my live chats about Live Wiser, the ultimate guide for adulting. It is in stores. It's been a great read. I'm going to toot my own horn. But also, you don't have to take my word for it. You can actually go and read all the reviews. They've come from all types of adults, all walks of life, who have read it and gained a lot of nuggets from it. So be sure if you hadn't gotten your copy, you can go to Amazon or anywhere it's sold. And if you have bought a copy, make sure you go ahead and hit that review. Do a review on Amazon. It means so much to me to hear from you, and then it'll also help me out uh, as as far as bestsellers list on Amazon. So thank you for that. So tonight we have a special treat. Last week we talked about financial freedom with Paris Woods, and then Monday we talked to Kristen Pate, who was a um, purpose coach from New Orleans. And then we dived into chapter 4, Grown Up Glow Up. That is one of my favorite chapters. So, Grown Up Glow Up just means that you can be an adult, you can be over 18, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have the maturity you need to progress through life and that you're set up for success. So there's a lot of characteristics of being a grown up, but just having that special glow. It means that you're at peace with yourself, flaws and all. You know your purpose. You're able to regulate your emotions. You're able to be self-aware and gain the necessary resources in order to one strengthen your strengths, but also to kind of help you with your weaknesses. So today I have a guest, Dr. Precious Boyle, and I'm so excited. It's another coach, so bear with us if we start to get into our conversation. We're going to make sure you're included in it. But she is a native of Alabama. She is an experienced teacher, school leader, and coach in the schools of Memphis, Tennessee. She then led a development program and strategy for a national nonprofit called Leading Educators. As a Goldman Emotional Intelligence Certified Coach, she has continued to expand her repertoire by working as a preventative coach for Murrah Health mental health industry as a part of the Noble Story group supporting school teachers and their teams. She's currently the owner of Silent Rock Educational Services. Her lifetime experiences guides the unique blend of emotional intelligence and leadership of development for practical, reflective application in all sectors. Although she's CEO, her most the titles that she holds most dear to her are Ken's wife and Carson and Kenny's mom. I love it. Additionally, she holds a Bachelor of Arts from Stillman College, so she's an HBCU alum, and she's going to tell you more about her other degrees later. So, it's my privilege to introduce to you our guest for this week, Dr. Precious. Welcome.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
No problem. How are you doing today?
I am well. I am well. It's been a good day and all is well.
Thank you so much for joining. I know um, we have quite a few things to cover. I'm so excited about emotional intelligence. That I didn't list all those things when I was giving like my little rundown about what is actually a grown up glow up. Gonna have to read it, buy the book and read it. But one of the things that I do talk about is emotional intelligence. And simply put, you can be the smartest person in the room, but still be the nastiest. Um, and this is so important to me because as we look for success in every aspect, we think in terms of money and currency. But what I've learned is that relationships are the currency. Like you need relationships, networking, you need people to make the money. So if you cut off everybody, if you burn every bridge, if you just sink every relationship that you have at work, at
Mhm.
home, at school, wherever you are, you can't get there by yourself. Like some say you pull yourself up from your bootstrap by yourself.
Nope.
That's never true. Our success is never done in isolation. So
Right. You just spoke a whole word right there. That's
You
it.
can tell that I love this topic, and I am continuing to study it. It is part of my research for that I've been doing for a long time since I was in grad school. So this is
Yeah.
one of the topics that I was really excited to learn, and to really have a person of color in the sector. I'm so happy we're able to have this conversation. So welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, there are a few of us out there, more than you know. We're out there, and we're all connected in some way. So I'm really proud to be here to represent those who are doing this emotional intelligence work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So before we get into the real seriousness of it all, I like to play a little game just to warm us up,
All
have
right.
you thinking a little bit. It's called This or That. Um, and so I have two things, and you get to choose which is your favorite out of those two things.
Okay. Okay.
So we're gonna start with an easy one. Maybe it's easy. A lot of people give me both, and I was like, you gotta pick one.
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee, hands down.
Coffee. Are you
Yes.
a fancy coffee person, or you can just do like your Keurig or regular
Well,
coffee pot?
here's the thing. I prefer coffee at home because I really prefer like coffee with my creamer. So there's a specific creamer. It has to be caramel creamer, and there's generally a lot more creamer than coffee in there, and it's right out of my Keurig where I can mix and blend all my stuff. I kind of make my coffee like a martini.
Yeah.
I don't drink, but I've seen it done. So yes, definitely coffee.
I've just learned how to make lattes at home and save myself a whole lot of money.
What?
Yes. So
Okay.
one of my friends, she may be watching, she buys all types of gadgets. And the one thing that I told her, like, this is paid off. I've learned how to do it. I don't know. It was some random experiment. I took some oat milk, see if I could froth it and steam it myself. That's been the best thing that I've learned how to do.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk after this.
Well, I would
Yeah.
definitely give you the
Yeah.
recipe on how to do that. Okay, so are you a Denzel or a Samuel L fan?
Oh, Denzel.
Denzel.
Denzel all day, like everything. Training day, like the whole nine. Like, yeah, all Denzel. It's the walk. It's the way that he just walks into the space.
Just glides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's your favorite Denzel movie?
Um, Man on Fire.
Okay.
Man on Fire. Creasy. Yeah.
Chrissy.
Man on Fire is my favorite movie. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
there's something about him teaching her how to dive off the blocks and like doing the simulations. It was coaching. So it spoke to my heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think Denzel's been winning since I've been asking this question. That's a
Yeah.
overwhelming favorite. Um, Snack, are you a chips or popcorn? Like if you see chips or popcorn, which are you going for?
If I have to choose between those two, it's going to be chips, unless it's a caramel glaze on the popcorn.
Mm.
Yeah. So if it's a fancy popcorn, like just regular popcorn, no, that doesn't do it. If it's a fancy popcorn with like a glaze and some pecans or something mixed in it, like a whole situation, I'm there. Yeah.
I'm learning that you're a flavor person. Like you need.
Yes. And generally the flavors are caramel. That's the one flavor.
um, so are you an audiobook girl or print?
Audio book because I can download it on Audible. I can have it while I'm walking in the mornings or on the treadmill or like doing my thing around the house, and I don't have to stop.
Yeah.
I can do it. It for me, audiobooks have become my soul care. So I make a distinction between self-care and soul care. And
Mhm.
self-care is like that temporary thing that you do for your physical body, but soul care like makes you better. You stay in it. It's a permanent kind of change. And audiobooks are a part of my soul care because I'm generally listening to things that make me better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And let's see. Um, Trying to pick one last. I'm a foodie.
Okay.
All of my things are like food items. I had to like mix and match. Harlem Nights are coming to America.
Mm. Oh, that's a hard one. I think it would still be Coming to America, and
The
especially
first one.
Coming to
We
America
always have
too.
to clarify the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
Without the middle.
The first one, yeah. Well, yeah, still Coming to America. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
There's something about the story of Coming to America. Harlem Nights is good. No, don't get me wrong, it was good, but the story of Coming to America sticks
Yeah.
with me a little bit more. The
Yeah.
underdog. I root for the underdog that's really the higher achiever. But yeah, Coming to
Okay.
America.
I can watch both over and over, but I think Harlem Nights is top on my list that I can watch anytime, anywhere.
Really?
Yeah. I love all the old, like the Richard Pryor and Red Fox. I love, like, I couldn't watch the original version when I was younger, and so once I was old enough to watch it and see the
Yeah,
real stuff, yeah, I love all of the legends that are in that movie that
yeah.
are no longer with us. Like, those are like my favorite moments.
I feel like I need to watch it again. I feel like I need to go back. I haven't watched it in a long time. I've seen Coming to America a few times,
Mhm.
but I haven't watched Harlem Nights as often. So I feel like I need to go back and watch it again.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
It may give it a run for its money. It may.
well, thank you for playing this or that.
Yeah. I
Um,
might have to use that. I like that. I'm gonna have to
yeah,
use it.
just it's hard coming up with, like, like I said, food were like top of my list. So I have to go and like figure not have so much food options on it.
Yeah, because you're making me hungry. And that's okay. That's okay.
So now we're going to dive into, if you think back to the time when you're undergrad. We're gonna go a little bit back, and then we're gonna bring it forth into
Okay.
what we're here to talk about.
Let's
But
do it.
this podcast will be uploaded to Woke Wise College Kids, which is my podcast dedicated to first gen minority low income students, just as a source to just talk and just hear
Hmm.
some things about life, money, careers, leadership, things like that. And so one of the things that I always ask my guests is to, like, kind of go back to the time when you were an undergraduate. So I said, well, I kind of told everybody you're from Stillman. And
Yes.
I can imagine, I visit Stillman like once to do a presentation. It's beautiful. So
Yes.
take me back to when you're on the yard and you were just precious. What
Yeah.
was your favorite memory?
Listen, on the yard at Stillman, one, it was a fashion show. Like there was not everybody. You have to walk past Stinson Auditorium. Like you've got to have your gear on and walk past Stinson Auditorium because that's where everyone hangs out. You got to go through the square. But I think my fondest memories when I think back at Stillman were around modeling with Sophistication Unlimited. So our dean, Dr. Sharon Whitaker, sponsored the modeling troupe. It was a modeling troupe, and we traveled, and we were like sepia, like the whole. We had to negotiate pick up and drop off with different companies that we were getting clothes from. So while I really enjoyed like the modeling side of it, the leadership side
Yeah.
of it was really like, I don't think we thought enough about it at the time. But when I look back on it, I think that's where a lot of my leadership skills, I think, have come from and were kind of honed during that time period. Even though like walking the runway was definitely one of my favorite things. That was just joy. I felt like she believed in us. And so putting
Yeah.
us on the runway was like that was like, yes, you are front and center. You deserve to be here. It's all you.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is so, like, that's pretty cool to
Yeah,
like
it was
think back
great.
and have that experience.
Yeah, it was great. And there are still people who I'm connected to from Sophistication Unlimited. Like that was our thing. I loved it. I'm also a Delta, so that was great. Like that experience was all great. I was very active on campus.
I don't even know if we talked about sorority. I know you see all this like rose, gold, and pink, but I am a soror too.
Yes, yes, kindred spirit. I knew it. Yes. So yeah, I'm also a Delta. I was Miss Black and Gold for 3 years at Stillman College. I was runner up to Miss Stillman. I was very active on campus.
One
Yeah.
of the questions I usually ask, it's like, tell me what type of student were you, like a go to class, go back to your rest hall or go home, a
No.
social butterfly, a combination. But I think I already know.
Yeah, I was in all the stuff, as much as possible. I was in all the stuff, and I loved it, loved it. I think I grew, I grew as a person at Stillman because there were so many things for me to explore. That coming from Prattville, Alabama, small town north of Montgomery, like there weren't that many opportunities for me to necessarily shine in the way that I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
That level of exposure and like pouring into me, being around people who look like me, who were trying to be great like me, who were operating in a level of excellence and just pouring into you. That many Black educators, that many Black people who were just trying to do their thing, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great time. Literally, when I dream deeply, I dream of Stillman.
Oh wow. That's a tagline. You should tell them to put that in some
Yeah, you
recruiting.
know what? And I love Stillman so much. I'm currently the president of the Memphis alumni chapter of Stillman College.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it's still in me. Like you once you're a Tiger, you don't go back. It's in you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Anything that you would change? Like, do you have like a top regret that if you can rewind and do over that you would do differently?
I really don't because I really think that everything at Stillman, good and bad, everything I experienced, like made me who I am. There's so
Mhm.
many paths, so many things that happened during that span of 4 years that could have broken me
Yeah.
or that could have propelled me. But there's so much learning in all of those things that happened. I think the one thing, if I could change anything, it was knowing. Being more in tune with who I am versus who I was supposed to be.
Hmm.
Because that's always a struggle for people who look like me. I think
Hmm.
there's a trajectory that the world wants you to follow, and so we tend to follow in those footsteps and do those things. But the one regret I think I have as a person, probably everybody has at that age. I went to Stillman when I was 16. So
Wow.
really, yeah. When I was 16, I graduated at 20. So like it was, yeah. Some of the things I was involved with and doing, I was like, what in the world? Like, what? How did I even? But like, I think if I had been more attuned in the emotional intelligence, really, if I'd been more attuned to what puts me in flow, like what gets me energized. I went to Stillman, wanted to be a lawyer. And we talked about this offline. I wanted to be a lawyer, and I went to a summer law program through Stillman with Florida State University. And that summer, we were in the dungeons of the library, like late preparing for mock trials. And I'm like, what is it? Like, I just want to be Claire Huxtable. Like, I want to wear the suit. I want to do, I want to argue the case. I don't want to do this type. No. So I just wasn't attuned really to what else there was. That was a path that other people I think had seen me walking. And so I tried to walk in that path. But even after I decided that's not what I want to do, I don't think I explored enough. I think my path was already, designed for me. I think God Almighty had already designed my steps and like ordered them, and I walked in them. But I definitely think that everyone should take the opportunity to really dive into all of the options. I think I dove into some of them, but I really didn't explore fully all the options that were available in terms of careers.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I think when you go back, you get a better picture of like guests. And then I do it because a lot of students feel like successful people don't have a past, and or either they have it and it's straight, and it's like,
No.
no, we still trying to figure out ourselves, and we were a total mess. And the
Yes.
reason I wrote this book is that adulting and leading up, especially post grad, like that time is such a confusion, but it's a beautiful confusion if you're able to just do the work and dig through it. But
Yeah.
live wiser is my ode to being transparent and sharing that it's not at all a pretty thing, but we all have to go through it.
Yeah, I love that because even I'll share that when I moved to Memphis, I was recruited to teach, and when I moved to Memphis to teach, I moved about a month after graduation, with about $2,000 and a 1990 Geo Prism. So school didn't start until August. So I had to figure out like what to do. And I literally, the only job I could literally find in June and July was throwing phone books out of the back of my Geo Prism. And that's really, it was a blessing in disguise. It was hard. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe I was doing it. But like I needed to pay bills. I needed to pay rent. I needed to do, what I needed to do to start getting myself together because I was away from home. No, I knew no one in Memphis except the principal who recruited me. So
Yeah.
like I was starting all over and just didn't have the wherewithal to just, live. So I needed to figure it out. But looking back on it, if I had not thrown those phone books, delivered those phone books, I wouldn't know the city of Memphis the way that I know it. I
Yeah.
know where things are. I can maneuver, I typically don't get lost. I kind of know, and it's helped me. So yeah,
Yeah.
everything works for the good.
Yeah. I love that. So let's hop into it.
Yeah.
Um, we're talking emotional intelligence. If you're just joining us, most people think book smart, book smart and street smart. Okay, but there's a whole lot of types of intelligence. For me, I know that I don't have spatial intelligence. I'm gonna get lost. I can't measure anything. If I estimate, I'm off. That's just not me.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of like types of intelligence, and
Hmm.
no one has them all, but you should be aware of them all and understand how to leverage them. But I think the most important one um, that that plays a role in everything that we do is emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And this is I don't know, you can say if it's a new, we coin new phrases. People in academics and stuff like this, we love to coin new phrases. It's probably been around forever.
Yes.
Tell us what's emotional intelligence and how, like, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because it was made popular by Daniel Goldman, but he's not the one who invented it. Like he's not the one who like, coined the term, but he made it popular. And because he made it popular, he's generally credited with a lot of the work around emotional intelligence because of the research that he's done. And I'm grateful for that research. But if we think about emotional intelligence, it is literally understanding and managing your emotions and the emotions of other people. Um, Being aware of your own baggage. So there are four domains of emotional intelligence. It's not like this magical secret behind the curtain. Are you self-aware? Do you know you? Do you know your strengths? You know your weaknesses? You know the areas where you can grow? What's above the surface, that the skills that people see? And then what's below the surface? What are your values? What fuels you? What feeds what you do? And then there's self-management. When you manage that baggage, you're self-managing. Some people breathe, some people like do all these different things to kind of calm themselves in the moment. So how you manage yourself is important. The third domain is social awareness. So do you have empathy? Can you empathize with other people? And that doesn't mean, generally when people hear empathy, it's can you walk a mile in someone else's shoes? That's not empathy. Empathy is really not just stepping into someone's shoes, because when you step into someone's shoes, you're stepping in with your privilege, with your own biases, with your own experiences, with your own view of the world. Empathy is really trying to see things from that person's perspective, from their view of the world. And so you have to be attuned to how you are experiencing life, your emotions, and the other people that are connected to you in any situation. So that's social awareness. And then the last element is relationship management. And that's the place that most people want to be. We all want to be inspirational. We all want to be good at managing conflict. We all want to be able to have like healthy conflict, because oftentimes if you think about even relationships with the other sex or with whomever your significant other is, you don't really know that you in it until you have a conflict, because you don't really know how they're reacting, how they manage themselves. So that's relationship management, really being able to lean into conflict in a way where everybody wins, where everyone can grow and learn. And so emotional intelligence is literally understanding and recognizing your stuff and the other people's stuff, and how you manage that stuff so that everyone wins. There's no there's no magic, there's no mystical area, where no one can access it. No, you all have emotions. We all have emotions, and how you manage them is your emotional intelligence.
We, especially the minority community, have that's something we have to unlearn, because emotions were swept under, controlled,
Yep.
unspoken,
Yep.
unprocessed. And this is like, I feel like it's a lot of, it's a root kind of that needs to be just dug out of the ground, and we just need to start over with how we teach our kids, how we relate to each other.
Yes.
So how do you, like, how when you're explaining this to us, the community, and
Mm-hmm.
they say, okay, well, I'm doing this. I'm good. I'm grown and I ain't got to do this. All of
Really?
that part. How do you explain this to them? Like, how does that relate to Booksmart? And how do we change this narrative around what makes a person successful, hard, soft?
Yeah.
How do we reframe that narrative?
There's a lot of unlearning. You said it. There's a lot of unlearning. And in order to unlearn, you first have to recognize that this is learned behavior. This is not something, you're not just born hard. You're not born not feeling. Like, that's a learned behavior that we have to unlearn. And a lot of times in the work that I do, a lot of it is in education. And a lot of Black leaders are taught to be hard. We're taught that is, you don't show emotion. You never let them see you sweat. Never let them see you cry. Like, all of that. I'm not saying let them see you sweat and let them see you cry, but let them know you feel. You're a human. You're not a robot. And when we position ourselves as robots, it allows people to take advantage of that, to treat us in ways that are not conducive to our growth and to our learning. So it's important to recognize, one, what's the root? What are the beliefs that emotion or lack of emotion has taught us? And for a lot of people, it shows up as self-limiting beliefs, doubts about ourselves and what we can do. You've been told this all your life and you've internalized it. And so when someone says something to you that is not even directed at that thing, you're bringing up all of the emotions from the last experience you have, because they've been telling you this all your life and you believe it. So you're reacting out of emotion, but not out of emotion with this situation, out of years and years and years and years and years and years of emotion from situations like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so for our people, if we are not recognizing that what we're bringing to any situation is our full life experience, in any given situation, you're bringing your full life experience. They're not isolated pieces that you're leaving at the door. If you're on Zoom, you're not leaving it in the Zoom room. You're not leaving it in the waiting room. Like, you are bringing your full self to every situation. And all the baggage you're bringing into that, if you don't recognize that, it could blow up. Like, you see people who are easily triggered, people who fly off the handle at any little thing. It's not about the other person. It's literally not what the other person did or said. It's how you've internalized all the other stuff leading up to that moment. And this is the moment that broke it.
Yeah. And it's probably something that happened on the playground 30 years ago.
Exactly. Because this manager talks to you the way Bobby did when he was beating you up on the playground when you were 5. Now all of that's coming into play. But if we don't deal with that, because we were taught to suppress our emotions, if we don't deal with that and recognize it for what it is, we treat people differently. And that doesn't play in our favor. So we have to know, like, what we're bringing to the table. And so a lot of my work is with self-awareness. Mm-hmm. We can get to all the other pieces of emotional intelligence, but if you don't know self, and I don't mean that Facebook and Instagram version of self, because really, you ain't that happy all the time. So, like, if you don't know self, then you're bringing a false sense of self to situations. And that really is pretentious, and it doesn't serve you. So the most powerful thing that I can say about emotional intelligence is literally you have the power to choose a different thought. If that thought does not serve you, choose a different thought. But we have to pause long enough for that thought to happen, that process to take place. And when we have those knee-jerk reactions, we're not giving ourselves time to process the emotion because it's there. It's there. We're triggered. It's something that's there. And generally, it happens if we pay attention to our bodies. It happens when you get that sinking feeling in your gut.
Mm-hmm.
It happens when someone says something and you like, ooh, like you feel it. It's in your body, but we don't pause long enough to let that limbic system in our brain really process and wrestle with the emotion. We try to push it right to some logical thinking, some reasonable thinking to make decisions about, but we still are operating in emotions. And we've heard people say often lately, like, oh, you and your feelings. That's because you're operating out of emotion.
My thing that I hate is I feel some type of way, and I hate is like admit that you feel in some type of way, but you need to tell me specifically which feeling that is,
What that
and I
is.
even just stop.
And what's challenging though, Dr. Aaron, is that most of us don't have language for what we're feeling.
Yeah.
We don't have language. We feel it in our body, but we don't have language to name those emotions. Most people know happy, they know sad, they know joy, but they don't know all of the other feelings that come along with just the feelings of your body. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of us don't have language. So we just say we're angry or you're in your feelings or I'm feeling some type of way because we can't name what that feeling is. We just know that it's not comfortable.
Yeah. Or I'm guilty of it. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm
Ooh,
good.
that's the biggest lie that we tell all day, every day. We
But
are
no,
not fine.
I'm fine. I'm good. Just I'm good.
Mm-mm. The translation is I have things going on that I don't want to share with you. So I'm going to say I'm fine so we can move on.
Yeah. Or I don't want to think about myself, so I'll just press that back and
Very true. Very true. Very true. And so I think the most important thing is self-awareness. All of the other elements of emotional intelligence come into play. But if you don't have self-awareness, then that is literally like you have no foundation. You don't know who you are. You're operating in the world lost because you're not secure in who you are. You don't recognize what brings you joy, what puts you in flow. What's that thing today that you did that you were like, oh, I killed that. Oh, yes, that right there. Oh, I know I got that. Or, oh, when she said this, that really bothered me. And here's why it bothered me. We don't have language and we don't explore those feelings enough to be able to have real conversations with people about how we're feeling.
Yeah. So we're going to help some people out with the self-awareness piece.
Yes.
I want to go through some characteristics of people with like, so we have IQ, the
Mm-hmm.
regular intelligence. I hate regular, but cognitive intelligence,
Yes.
the
Yes.
knowledge part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also EQ. There's high EQ, low EQ.
Yes.
So what if you could like give some characteristics of people who are watching and who will watch and hear this when
Mm-hmm.
they're thinking about where do they land on this spectrum of emotional intelligence that they can begin to reflect and say, I might need some work in this area. And we all do. It's a continuum. We're never
Everyone.
always at the top. It's always going to be um, a continual improvement
Yes.
to refine our emotions, become more self-aware, to become
Yep.
better communicators. All of these things. So
Mm-hmm.
on the low end, what can the people who may suffer with some issues and have like low EQ, what are some
Yeah.
characteristics?
There are some of the things we've already talked about. If you've said all day today, I'm fine. Let's think about that. Like, who did you tell that to and why? Like, was that legit or were you hiding something? Was there something you didn't want to reveal to that person? Like, even being able to name that increases your IQ, like, or your EQ rather, being able to really name that. So, people on the lower end of EQ, they're easily triggered. They have a lot of those knee-jerk reactions. They really typically disregard other people's feelings. They're those people who say whatever, and they say, "This is just who I am. I'm just real."
Mm.
Are you though? Like, what is real? Let's norm on what we mean by real. If you're just coming off hurting people's feelings and like going at people, like you're really not being considerate, and that's a part of your EQ. Hot tempered people, lack of empathy, they only see the world from their perspective. You can't get them to see your perspective. They don't want to hear your perspective. People who are generally selfish and operate from that place of fear most often have a lower EQ. So when you talk about people who are on the higher end of EQ, they recognize their stuff. They recognize that what you just said is not about, while it triggered me, it's not about you. It's about how I heard it. It's about what I'm connecting with that. While you may have intended it one way, let's talk about how I heard it. Let's talk about how I experienced it. And they don't carry it. They talk about it and they let it go. They don't carry it because that becomes a burden. They don't carry it. They pause. They can lean into conflict. They can have conflict with you and actually talk about it, rather than talking to everybody else about it who have nothing to do with it just because they need to talk to somebody. They don't want resolution. They want to actually just talk about it, just gossip about it, or just have conversation about it. People with a higher IQ go to, or EQ, I keep saying that. People who with a higher EQ, they actually go to the person that has offended them or that they've offended. It doesn't sit well with them when they feel like they've offended someone, or that they've crossed someone, or they've said something out of turn. It doesn't sit well. Like they have to go and have a conversation. So they lean into the conflict. So those are just some quick things. Even just thinking about your day to day, you can kind of gauge your own EQ. In your day to day, where did you lean in and where did you check out? Like where were you where were you quick to react? Who were you quick to react with? Is there a trend in who you're quick to react with? And if that's a trend, if there's a trend in that, being able to recognize the root of that trend. Is it that this person reminds you of someone else? Being able to have that conversation with yourself. Is it that the last person you had conflict with looked like this person? Mm-hmm. Like even those things, like some of us, for example, you've heard it too, I'm sure, we date the same people over and over again until we figure out, like, actually, like, this is the thing right here. This is the thing that I keep being drawn to. Let me interrogate for myself. Why am I drawn to this? So people with a higher EQ can really tune into like what they're experiencing in their body, that gut reaction, that clenching your jaw when someone is talking because you're trying to keep from saying something. You're really in tune with your body. You have a higher EQ.
I like that. So yeah. So we gave some characteristics, or you gave some characteristics. They're all like, my whole fascination with this like started early on with the left brain, right brain, all of that stuff, which like figuring out how I tick, how I think, and putting, like you said, words to it. And so a lot of those assessments really helped me to see how I interact with myself, how I interact with others, Myers-Briggs. There's a whole lot of things.
A ton.
It's a two-part question. What are some informal ways that people can stop, whether it's in the moment or over time, like through journaling or talking? What are some informal ways they can start to do the work in assessing where they are in terms of their emotional intelligence, processing emotions, and relating to others?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I often say to people, you are your greatest resource. Really paying attention to you are your greatest resource. You can take Myers-Briggs, you can take any of those assessments, and they're going to give you information. But if you're not open to that information, it's really just words on a paper.
Yeah.
So you have to pay attention to you. You have to have a desire to want to do something different. If what you're doing is not serving you. You have to have a desire. So I say you are your greatest resource. And like I said earlier, even just reflecting on today, what happened today? What were the key moments in your day today that you're drawn to? Where were you in flow? And when I say in flow, I mean like where were you so in tune to what you were doing or what you were saying that you lost track of time? Where were you just experiencing that level of joy and contentment with what was happening? So that you're cued to where your strengths are and where there are opportunities to grow. Where are you consistently receiving feedback? If you consistently receive feedback, constructive feedback on the same things every year from your manager, it's not your manager. Like there's something there that you need to actually interrogate. So I say that to say that while there are several resources and different assessments and things you can take, your biggest resource is you. Like all of this is internal. It's you. It's paying attention to you and the trends in your own behavior. Hopefully everyone, like I would strongly encourage everyone to have at least one friend who's going to tell you the truth,
Mm-hmm.
who will say, actually, like you think you handled that well, but you jacked that all the way up. And let me tell you how. Let me tell you what I saw. So that you get that feedback. Because if people are afraid to tell you what they see in your behavior, you're not going to grow. So having a circle, having your own tribe helps tremendously, helps you to see yourself through the eyes of other people because that's perspective taking. So it grows your EQ. Um, really paying attention to who gets on your nerves. Who got on your nerves today? And why did they get on your nerves today? Really interrogating that. So like I say, like there are a lot of different resources. The one that I've come to love lately has been a value center. I think it's the valuecenter.org. But I'll add it to the comments later if that's not the right thing. But it forces you to choose 10 values because we operate from a place of values. And so if you can narrow down your list of values to your top 10, that gives you a lot of information. And it'll send you, it's a free assessment. It'll send you an assessment of like where your strengths are in that value and where you might need to pay attention to where that value is in conflict based on how you're living. So that's one that I really love because it forces you into a place of your core values. What do you really believe? If you have to narrow down from that 10 to 3 to 1, what's the thing that's always at play for you? And if that, whatever that is, it really guides what you do. And a lot of people want to say, like, well, I'm a great collaborator. I love collaboration. Do you really? Like, what do you love about collaboration? Like, let's get specific. Do you just like being around people and talking? Or is there something else, that's at play in terms of a value that you bring to those conversations and that you pick up that feeds your spirit from those conversations? So your greatest resource is you, really paying attention to you and being curious and listening when people tell you about you.
Yeah, I one of the pieces of advice that I took for myself, but then I also put in a book is doing like a 360. I think
Yes.
when I was in like my unemployment phase and trying to find my next move and getting people to
Mm-hmm.
write letters of recommendation and things like that, I started to see some trends of
Mm-hmm.
things, good and bad.
Yeah.
And but putting the mirror up and being exposed is the hardest thing, but it is really it's the best way to grow, especially if you're looking to become a leader.
Yes.
You're looking for a job promotion, you're looking to figure out why I'm stalled here. Everybody else keeps getting promotions, or I keep,
Yeah.
it's hard to see, even in relationships, like you said. Why do I keep attracting the same people? Why do I keep finding myself in this place? So even, figuring out, are there things from my job, my
Yes.
friends, my family, relationships, partner, like, are there
Mm-hmm.
things that come out, and then you're exposed, but then that's when the work can start. Like, that's
That's
the
the
hardest
word.
part, is
Yes, that's the
really,
word.
yeah.
Being willing to do the work. A lot of us are not willing to do the work. We settle in this is how I've always been. This is who I am. Love it or leave it. This is who I am. How's that serving you? How's that
Yeah.
moving you forward?
Yeah. It's a key piece of success.
It is.
Whether you're trying to build a business, be an entrepreneur, start a career, a
Yes.
new career, grow and evolve. Like, you have to figure out who you are, in
Yeah.
order for you to be authentic in every um, in every situation or experience that you have.
Right. Yeah. Now, I'll say that some people that I listen to and follow that really speak to me and speak to this work. Dr. Anita Hill is amazing. She's a therapist and a minister. She has this mantra that prayer is a weapon and therapy is a strategy.
Love it.
Yeah, she's amazing. So I follow her. Shayna Hammond has also been my coach. She's amazing and speaks specifically to Black women. She does the work of emotional intelligence, and it is beautiful. Sarah Jakes Roberts won't
Mm-hmm.
evolve. Like, she's amazing and really speaks to Black women, or women in general. But for me, there's a different connection based on how she talks about all the things. So I follow her and really helping to how you deal with your baggage. Janetta Smith is another person that I really follow. Spring Forth Counseling, and you've heard her on Ricky Smiley on
Yeah.
Tuesdays.
Yeah. I was like, what
Janetta
do I
Smith.
hear? I've heard the Springfield. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Spring Forth Counseling. So I love her because she's innovative in how she approaches emotional health and emotional wellness. And I think that for a long time, it's been a dirty word. Like, we don't talk about emotions in leadership or in the Black community. And it's so important because we've been suffering in silence. And people need to understand and recognize that we are human. We have feelings, we have emotions. We are not robots.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't recognize that for ourselves and start to do our own work, people will continue to treat us like we're robots.
Yeah. Yeah. And you doing the work for you and also doing the work for your kids.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
that's for us to change and generate, you have to, like, um, old fashioned ways of raising, like, that don't work anymore.
Yes.
It probably never worked.
But we kept going with it because that's what we knew. That's what we knew.
Yes.
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 So I take a lot of pride in Carson and Kenny, my two people, my two little people. My husband and I try to really listen to them. We try to give them voice. And for some people, that may not work for you in your house, but I try to give them voice because what I want to encourage is their thinking, them recognizing how they're feeling in the moment, them recognizing the power of their choice in any given moment. I can trust my daughter to speak up when something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
She's going to say it. It's going to come out. She's learning how to fine tune how to say it. But I want her to be able to do that. And the more I say too that the best time to learn about emotional intelligence and growing emotional intelligence is as an early teenager. But the next best time is now.
Yeah.
So, like, you got to start. But I love that both of them really recognize and understand when they're feeling something, whatever that is, and can start to articulate what that is. And I think it helps them when they're not around me to be able to speak to adults in a different way, not in a challenging way, but in order to say, like, what you're saying right now doesn't land well with me. Here's what I'm feeling, and here's how I'm hearing it. And I think it goes a long way for them to be able to really stand on their own values, not necessarily on what I poured into them, but what they have experienced alongside what we pour into them, my husband and I.
Yeah, it's so cute. My friend and my sister are both counselors, and so I get to see, and my sister's a play therapist, so I get to see her work in my nephews. And so early on, my nephew, like, he would be upset, and she would send him to his room. But after a while, he would take himself to a room when he feel it, like he about to get in trouble, and he like,
I need a minute.
And you go check on him, dude. You good? No, I'm not ready to come out yet.
Yes.
And then a little bit later, we'll hear little feet, and he fine. He'll go back to play, and he didn't had his little timeout, his little breathing.
Yeah.
And then my friend's little boy, his new phrase is, I don't love it. I don't love it. Whether it's food, I don't love it.
I love that. But think about how many adults do we need to say either I don't love it or I need a minute.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to process what just happened or what you just said, and I need a minute. Or drop that BRB, be right back in the chat, and turn your camera off and take your walk so you can actually process what's happening and not have that knee-jerk reaction that doesn't serve you.
Yeah. Yeah. That works so much at work when you just like, I can't process this right now. Give me a minute.
Give
Give
me a
me
minute.
some time. Give me a day. Can I get back to you with a response tomorrow? Let it
Exactly.
sit, let it soak, get all your words, get all your feelings. Sometimes it's not even that serious. You just been tired, you dehydrated, you hadn't eaten, and you just
Right.
like, it just feels like it is World War III. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not that bad. I can see,
Yeah.
the issue. And so I can say, okay, I understand this, and let's go from here.
Let's go. It reminds me of the commercials, the Snickers commercials, where you're so hungry that you're out of character.
Yeah.
So you have to recognize when you are experiencing things in a certain way, and that is emotional intelligence. I'm experiencing this way because of this. Being able to talk yourself off the ledge because you're about to say something that's going to get you fired.
Mm-hmm.
Like really being able to talk to yourself about why you're feeling this way is important. So
Yes.
I just encourage people, one, to grow in your self-awareness. Everything else will come. How you deal with other people will come. But if you're not growing in your own self-awareness and recognizing the self-limiting beliefs that are on the inside of you, if you're not uncovering those things, then you're really not living your fullest life because you're limiting what you can do and what you can be, who you can be, how you can grow. And everyone around you needs you to grow into you. They
Mm-hmm.
need you to live more fully because their destiny is attached to you. So
Yeah.
we all need to be growing.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you so much. I'll leave, one last word is like, do the work. It's not that hard. It's not that complex.
It's
Um,
not.
it is a science. It is
Yes,
a science, but it's not rocket science.
it's
Just
not.
start with a simple question, right? Why? Getting some time. Like it's so hard. I host a retreat every year, and it's so hard to get us to sit down in silence and not do anything and think through things, and
Yes.
it becomes uncomfortable. With me, I know it becomes, and we say, oh, we have ADHD, and it's like,
No,
no,
you don't.
that you just sit in it.
Yeah.
The thoughts might get tangled, but give it time to breathe and find yourself. Just keep asking why,
Yes.
writing it down. Just ask
Yes.
why this, why that, and you'll start to find some answers. Invest in yourself, uh,
Yes.
whether it's finding that person who you can bounce ideas and thoughts who's not
Mm-hmm.
biased, that you trust, whether it's a coach, a
Yes.
therapist, a pastor that you trust. Like you have to have some type of accountability partner who's
Yes.
going to give you that genuine feedback from a loving place, and that's
Mm-hmm.
not like sweeten it and rose colored advice, but
Mm-mm. The
real
real.
um, books to help you sort things out, podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's there for us to, it's time for us to start the work and healing and, um,
Yes.
you know, all of the healing, the
All of
feelings,
it.
the emotions, everything that we're triggered by when we see the news, or we have that
Yeah.
microaggression at work, or we talk to a family member, or we deal
Yep.
with bills and problems and issues. We have to start to process those emotions and deal with them accordingly, or we're going to fold under the weight of the world that's not
Yeah.
even our burden.
Yeah. Yeah. And the power of emotional intelligence is being able to be the same person under pressure as you are when there is none.
Mm-hmm.
When you are at that point where people are coming at you or you feel a certain type of way and you can be the same person, have the same pause, like we just don't slow down. We've been conditioned to go fast, to constantly be moving, to be busy. If you're not busy, you're not doing anything.
Yeah, and when you're busy, you don't. It's sometimes our busyness hides our anxiety and our depression and our unhappiness.
Exactly.
If you
Exactly.
can't be in silent and be in peace with just nothing but your thoughts, then
Yeah.
that's a place where you want to focus and grow.
Yeah. You said it. You said it. I strongly encourage coaching, of course.
Yeah.
Um, you can feel free to reach out to me at silentrocked.com. feel free to reach out to me. There are lots of wonderful coaches who do the work. Like we do our own work. We coach each other.
Yeah.
We have therapy. We have therapists that we are connected to, that we are pouring out, our hearts to. So we're all in this together. But everyone needs someone. You're not an island, and you have to start with doing your own work. Sitting with you, as hard as it may be. Slow down long enough to know you.
Yes. So you gave us your website. What are your social media? LinkedIn, Facebook?
Yeah, it's all Dr. Precious Boyle, Precious Steel Boyle. All of it's there. You can find me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. Silent Rock Educational Services is the other handle. So look for me, find me. I'm available. I generally do every other week. I put out quick videos around emotional intelligence that are just quick tips, easy things that likely you're wrestling with or that you experience today that will just help you to reframe how you're looking at things. So find me. I'm on all social media.
And what services do you offer? I love that you help educators because I feel like they're the frontline people that we don't really give props to. And
Yes.
just that post-secondary trauma of dealing with our students' trauma.
Yes.
I think it's like, it's a great place to be able to help educators have a place to turn. So besides one-to-one, what other services do you offer just in case there's a superintendent, a team leader, all of those people who may be watching?
Yeah, so my service is open to everyone. My main experience has been in education, but it does cross over because emotional intelligence is emotional intelligence. So I do staff sessions, I do team small group sessions, as well as one-on-one coaching. I work directly with schools or with school leaders. The majority of my work is generally with Black school leaders in particular, just because there's a depth to what we need to do. Lots of other people have access and have taken access for a long time, but we're here to help us. We can absolutely do work together, whether it's individual, whether it's group, small group, or whole staff series as well. So it's all on silentrocked.com. Feel free to go and explore what's there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for watching. You can catch the replay on YouTube or on my Facebook page. And I hope you all have a great night. Hope your hump day was great. Or you can have a better start tomorrow. So good night. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much.